about the paranormal experience, because you do write young adult paranormal fiction and have an interest in these kind of things. So what is your paranormal experience that you had?
Oh, sorry, my dog's barking.
There it
Um,
is right there. There's a ghost that just showed up. It's like,
oh,
all right.
I do think my dog can see ghosts. Sometimes he's just like looking in the corner of the room, and I'm like, "What? Is someone there that I don't see?" Um, but yes, with the paranormal stuff, when I was in high school, I was in student council, and one of the activities that we got to do being on student council is we got to have a little. It's like a lockdown overnight in the school. Uh, and so we were staying the night in there. And the way my high school is built is there's 3 levels, and then there's a basement below that. And then through the basement, there's a tunnel into like another section of the building. It's really weird. Like I don't think many high schools are built like that. But so we were down in the basement, and there are some classrooms down there, but we were walking past, my friend and I, and we look, and in one of the classrooms we see this woman standing there with like this like long like frizzy black hair, and she was just standing there. And then we both looked at each other and we were like, did you see that? And we looked back and no one was there, and then we freaked out. And everyone told us that we were crazy and that we didn't see anything. But it's just, I don't know, I believe in ghosts. And I don't know. I think that that's kind of, I've always wanted to write a ghost story because of that experience. And I've also heard crazy ghost stories from other people growing up too. And so all of that combined is what kind of inspired me to go in this direction.
So yeah. Did you, when you saw this woman, did you just go, "Oh my God, she's this crazy woman is in the basement," or "That's a ghost," or did you say hi, or did you do an EVP? Did you do any of these kind of? Because I would do like inspiration from ghost adventurers. I'd pull out my phone and start asking questions, and then play it back later and see, is there anything on here, or did you were just like, "No, I'm done."
I think initially we were just both really scared because like the way she looked didn't look like a person necessarily. Like it was kind of like a few feet back from the door, and like it was just kind of like this figure just like standing there. And then like when we looked back, nothing was there. And so I think just instantly our heads went to like that was a ghost.
Yeah.
And you know how kids are, like there were kids brought Ouija boards and stuff to school. So like I don't know, maybe that was just my high school.
Was that
But
an
like
elective your Ouija board day?
no, it's just the kids on the student council, like because they knew we were going to stay there overnight. And there were always rumors that my high school was haunted, so maybe that was also playing in my head. But no, we didn't say hi. We uh, and we did tell our teacher or whatever, because she was like, "Why are you guys screaming and running through the hallway?" And she was like, "Oh, did you see like a woman in there? Like, was it like one of the janitors?" And we were like, "Nope, not the janitor."
Nope. Yeah, the janitor usually probably doesn't lurk in the hall. And this was late at night.
Yeah,
Or
late at night. And like think of the like it's a basement, so there's no, windows or anything. And so it's that low lighting,
right.
that fluorescent lighting. It's just kind of creepy as it is.
I take that back. I probably would freak out then. I don't think I'd be doing the EVPs. I'd probably freak out. I have never seen, because we both of us write in the paranormal world. I've never seen, well, I've never definitively seen any kind of spirits, although not like in a way of like what you had where you like walking past the door and then there's a figure there. It was more of like the first off, 2 of them were animals and 1 of them was a human. So the house, this current house, when I bought it, my neighbors actually know the previous both, they actually know both previous owners, and they're still friends with them, so I got to meet them. And I said, like, the first year I was here, I was like, the middle of the night, there's like this depression at the end, like, you know how you can feel if somebody sits at the end of the bed. And I was like, there's a depression, I think there's a ghost, and it's sitting at the end of my bed in the night. They're like, oh, the cat used to just hop on the bed when we would go to sleep all the time. I was like, oh, it's the cat. The cat's buried in the tree. Well, from what I was told, then they kind of went back on the story, but I was told that there's a cat buried in the yard somewhere else. I was like, oh, okay, so there's a cat hopping on my bed in the
A
middle of the
ghost
night.
cat.
Ghost cat is hopping on my bed. So at least, I mean, I'd rather that than to be a person. So that's good. The only other one was um one of my exes. I we moved into this condo together, and the day I moved in, I was putting stuff in the bathroom, and it's just like this image of a guy with a beard flashed in my head for a second, and I walked out in the living room and she's unboxing everything. I'm like, yeah, I just had this weird thing, and when I went to the bathroom, it's like I saw a guy like a beard, and he was kind of this tall and whatever. She's like, oh, that's my grandfather. I was like,
Wow.
okay, so he's checking me out. All right, so yeah, that those are my only paranormal experiences. I don't think I want anything. At least those were in sunlight and daylight, and with animals.
Yeah.
Creepy, creepy women in basements, not so much my kind of thing.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I don't know. And there's other experiences too, like, have you ever been to like a psychic medium or anything like that?
I have not. So tell me about your experience.
Well, I've been to, I don't know, my family is big into like tarot cards and things like that. So I've been to several psychics and tarot card readers and things like that. But one time I sat down just to get my tarot cards read. And the lady was like, oh, I'm also a medium. And I hope you don't mind, but there's like a male presence like here. He's like an older gentleman. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, who is that? And the things that he was telling her, um like this is such a random thing, but with my grandpa, whenever we would visit, he would always make us or take us to go get ice cream. And it was like he's being really encouraging about like my books and things like that. And then at the end of the conversation that she was hearing, he said, make sure you go get an ice cream cone today. And I was like, that's
Wow.
a super strange connection. Like, I don't think she was just saying this at that point, because like, why else would you bring up the ice cream cone thing? So I think that I talked to my grandpa at one point through a medium as so yeah.
Well, again, nice to know that the grandpas are watching over us
Yeah.
from beyond. They're like, get that ice cream. And
Yeah.
so you've had these paranormal experiences and writing, and how much of this kind of bleeds into any kind of storytelling you're doing, because you do write young adult paranormal.
I did put a ghost in the high school. Like I liked that idea into my book. I didn't necessarily make it the same type of situation that
Right.
I was in personally. And I think the rest of it though is all just kind of my imagination, and like I do love watching those like ghost hunter videos, so maybe I get some inspiration from that. And I don't know, kids in my town especially. So the town in my book, Katori Springs, is based off of the town Manitou Springs, which is a
Okay.
real place in Colorado. And there it's like kind of understood that at night it turns into like a ghost town and there's ghosts everywhere. And as a kid, I'm like, oh my gosh, I believe it. Uh, and so that's kind of my inspiration for the town. And so I kind of took some stories from people that live in Manitou Springs, and they've told me these ghost stories. And so a lot of those did make it into the book. Um, and also, you read the book. It kind of starts out with this mention of the coffin races.
Right.
And that's a real event that takes place in Manitou Springs as well. And it's based on this woman who passed away, was buried up in the mountains, and then her coffin fell all the way down the mountain. And so now they recreate it with coffins, and they dress up as her. It's weird.
That,
But
yeah.
so I mean, I took a lot of inspiration from that town and all the weird quirks and like all the ghost stories that I've heard coming from that town.
When I die, depending on how I die, I want to be honored, in which, especially if it's a very weird manner, that every year there'll be a recreation of the way that I die.